Hello, welcome to Prajim Technologies. I'm Venkat. This is part 18, Namespaces in C Sharp. In this session, we will learn the basics around namespaces using alias directives and different namespace members. Now, why namespaces? What is the advantage of using namespaces? There are basically two main advantages of using namespaces. They help you organize your programs and also they provide assistance in avoiding name clashes, especially in very large projects. So what do we mean by that? Let's look at an example. Now let's say I am working on a project, and let's say the project name is project A, and let's say I have two teams, Team A and Team B. I have these two teams working on this project A. Now, I want all the classes that are developed by Team A to be present in project A.Team A namespace so that just by looking at the name of the class, I can identify which team has developed that. Similarly, I want all the classes developed by Team B to be present in a namespace project A.Team B. In many projects actually, based on the function, let's say for example I have a job portal project that I'm working on. In job portals, usually we have candidates, basically job seekers and job providers. All the classes that are related to job seekers probably uh, you know they might be present in job portal.job seekers namespace, whereas all the classes that are related to job providers may be present in job portal.job providers namespace. So basically namespaces help you to organize your code. Okay. Before we look at an example how to do that, let's understand, let's understand how Microsoft is actually using namespaces. Now, even Microsoft is using namespaces to organize their code. For example, from class 1, from session 1, we have been using this console class, console.writeLine. Let's say we want to print hello. Okay, so if you look at this class, console class, where is this coming from? This is coming from, if I right click on that class and say go to definition, the console class is actually coming from the system namespace, okay, which is present in system assembly. Okay, so the console class is coming from the system namespace. Now, similarly, just like how Microsoft is using namespaces to organize the code, we can create namespaces to organize the classes that we create. Going with the example that we have discussed, let's say I'm working with two teams on a project called project A, and I want all the classes related to team A to be present in project A.Team A namespace, whereas team B classes should be present in project A.Team B namespace. So let's see how to do that. So first of all, to create a namespace, we use namespace keyword. Let's say project A. And then within that, I want to create another namespace team A. So all the classes, that belong to team A will be present in this namespace. Let's say, for example, I want to have a class, let's say class A, and within this, let's say I have public static, be void print method. And in this method, let's say console.writeLine, we'll call this team A print method just to differentiate. Okay, so if you look at this, we have this class A, which is present in this namespace. So the fully qualified, if somebody has to use this class, they have to use this project A.Team A.class A. So in my main method, if I have to use this print method, then I have to use this project A namespace. Look at that, project A, and this curly braces, by the way, they indicate that it's a namespace, and something like this is a class, and something with I is an interface. So by looking at the symbols, you basically can say what it is. So curly braces, namespace. So project A dot, look at that. In project A, there is team A dot, you see that class A. And within that class A, I have that print method. So I'm able to call that print method. Now if I go ahead and run this program, so obviously it will say team A print method. Okay, so either I can use the fully qualified name like this, or if I don't want to use the fully qualified name, then I can use the using directive there, using project A.team A. And the moment I do that, look at this, it says class A print, which is coming from team A, project A.team A namespace. Similarly, let's make a copy of this. Now, on this project A, I have another team called Team B, which is working. And that Team B has also developed a class called Class A, and they also have a print method. So if you look at this, we have Class A in project A.team B namespace, and we also have a Class A in project A.team A namespace. Now, if I have to use this print method, which belongs to Team B, how do I do that? Again, there are two ways. One is I can use the fully qualified name. So project A, and the moment I say dot, now you can see that there are two namespaces, team A and team B. Now I want to use team B's print method, so team B dot class A dot print. And by the way, we need to modify this text so that we know this is team B's print method. So to invoke team A print method, we are using the using directive, and to invoke the team B print method, we are using the fully qualified name. For this print method, the fully qualified name is namespace dot class dot the print method. So if I go ahead and run this, both team A and team B print method will be called. Okay, now let's say I also use this directive on the top instead of using the fully qualified name. Let's say I also using project A dot team B, and the moment I do that, look at what's going to happen. Now both of these references are giving a compilation error. Class A is an ambiguous reference between project A.team A and project A.team B. So to which namespace are you referring? From where should I get this class A? Because in both these namespaces we have the class. Okay, so there is an ambiguity, and if I try to build this solution, the compiler will not allow me to do that until I resolve this ambiguity. And there are basically two ways to resolve this ambiguity. One is to use fully qualified names. So, and we have already seen that. So project A dot team A dot class A dot print, and similarly project A dot team B dot class A dot print. So now we are able to compile and call the respective methods. So one way to avoid the ambiguity is to use the fully qualified names. And another way to actually use ambiguity is to use something called namespace aliases. Let's say I don't want to use this fully qualified name because it's too long. Okay, what I can do is I can use a namespace alias. Let's say this is the long one, project A.team A. I don't want to use that. So what I can do is project A team A. You can use an alias for that like that. And similarly, project A team B. So this is an alias. Instead of typing this entire thing, we can use PA, TA, and PA, TB. So now, oh, actually, sorry, I think it's the other way around. I got the syntax incorrect. So PATA is equal to that, and PATB is equal to that. Okay, so now I can say PATA dot, look at that, that comes from project A, team A. Similarly, PATB, this comes from project A, team B. So we can resolve the ambiguity between classes, either by using fully qualified names or by using alias names, alias directives. So this is an alias directive for project a.tma. So how are these alias directives used? There are two purposes. One, to resolve ambiguity between names, and the other one, if the namespace names are too long and we don't want to use such a lengthy namespace, then we can use this namespace alias. Okay, now some people say using actually using statement is good. Okay, but then if they use the using statement, let's look at this. I mean, project a.team a class a, let's say for example using if we use the other namespaces as well. Okay, okay, now let's say I am saying, okay, class a dot print. Now, where is this class a coming from? How do I know that? Because I'm not using the fully qualified name here. So I really don't know where is this class a is coming from. Is it coming from system namespace, project.theme, system.collections, or system.configuration? Unless until I go and hover my mouse over that class, I will not be able to tell from which namespace has this class come from. Okay, so some people say using namespaces like this is not a good idea because the program is less readable. You don't know where is this class coming from. So what they suggest is using a fully qualified name. Okay, but some people say using fully qualified name is too much typing. Okay, if you just hover over the mouse, you will come to know what the class, from which namespace did this class come from. So it's a kind of an argument. Some people like using fully qualified name. Some people like using the using directive, but there are advantages and disadvantages of both. If I use the using directive, it's the program is not that readable. I have to hover my mouse to figure out from which namespace is this class coming from. On the other hand, if I start using fully qualified name, then it's too much of typing. Okay, so either this or that. Instead of that, if we use namespace aliases, something like this PATA, just like how we have done it before, and then if I say PATA dot class A, now I know that this class A is coming from PATA, so PATA is project A team A. So there's less typing, and at the same time the program is also readable. So this is something in between these two extremes. Okay, so using namespace alias directives help readability apart from solving namespace ambiguity. Okay, so let's go back to the slide. So namespaces, why they are used? They're used to organize your programs, and they also provide assistance in avoiding name clashes. Okay, another important concept that we need to understand is namespaces don't correspond to file, directory, or assembly names. What do we mean by that? Actually, look at this one. When I build this project, if you look at this project, Introduction to C Sharp project, in this project, we have, you know, project A.team.class A and project A.team.class A, and we also have this program. Okay. So if I build the solution, now what happened is this entire C# code is actually compiled into an assembly. And where is that assembly present? Right click on that project name and select open folder in Windows Explorer. And if you go to the bin directory, debug, so there you have this assembly. So introduction to C#.exe. So in this assembly, all this code is compiled and this code is present in this assembly. So though the assembly is one, in this assembly we have project A.team namespace as well as project A.team namespace. Okay, so so the assembly is this, though the assembly is the same, it can contain different namespaces and different classes. Okay, now the same application we can actually rewrite in a different way. Instead of having these two, you know, classes present in this assembly, I can actually go to the solution, add a new project, and we'll go ahead and select Visual C Sharp class library. And I'm going to call this project as project A dot team A. So I'm calling this project. It's a Visual C Sharp is a programming language. The type of project is class library, and I'm naming this project as project A dot team A. So this is creating a project for us called project A dot team A, and I'm going to rename this class as class A. So this has created, there's a namespace project A.team A and class A. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this from there, this method from there, and I'm going to get rid of this piece of code from here. So I am removing this code from this introduction to C# project. Instead, I'm having this method here. Similarly, I'm going to add another project for team A dot project A dot team B. So I'm going to add Visual C Sharp class library, and this time I'm going to call this project A dot team B, and I click OK. So this is going to create another assembly, and I'm going to call this again class A. And this time we'll go ahead and get this method and get rid of this code as well. So in our introduction to C# project, all I have is our main method. Okay, we don't have project A.team.A.class A. We don't have project A.teamB.class A. Okay, they are in their respective assemblies. So this is team B sprint method. So what have we done so far? I've created another project of type class library, and I have created class A in this assembly, and I've created class A for team B in this assembly, project A.team B. Now, if I go ahead and build the solution, what's going to happen? It will build the respective assemblies as well. So my class A is now present in this assembly. So let's open this solution in Windows Explorer. So if I open the solution in Windows Explorer, you see that we have project A.team A, and if I go into the bin directory, you see that project A.team A.dll, and inside that we have class A, inside that we have the print method. And to prove that, in Visual Studio, if you go to Start, All Programs, Microsoft Visual Studio 2010, and if you go to Microsoft Windows SDK Tools, there is a tool called IL Disassembler, Intermediate Language Disassembler. And now you can actually say File Open and go to your C drive, Introduction to C#, project A.team A, into the bin directory, and there is this assembly project A.team A.dll. Select that, and look at this. The namespace is project A.team A. Within that we have a class called class A, and within that class A we have a print method. Similarly, if you go back to that folder, we have project A.team B, bin method, bin folder, and you have project A.team B, and it has its own class A and print method. Now these classes, class A and this class A, are present in their own assemblies, but still what I can do is, this is a different project. So now I want to use this assembly and this assembly in this project. To do that, I can go to that project, right click, add reference, and I can add a reference to both of these projects. So what happens now, project A.team A and project A.team B, both of these assemblies are referenced in this introduction to C Sharp project, and I can start using them. So using project a.team A, and look at this, though they are present in different assemblies, I can still say project A. Okay, project A is present, in this assembly as well as in this assembly, the same namespace. Team A is specific to this assembly and team B is specific to this assembly. So what I mean to show here is that namespaces don't correspond to a specific file directory or assembly names. They could be written in separate files and separate assemblies and still belong to the same namespace. And namespace basically can be nested in two ways. Okay, one way is basically to use like namespace.project, namespace project a dot team a, or what you can do is you can say namespace team a, so you can nest this like this as well. You can use dot operator or a curly brace and then namespace again within that, or a dot operator like this. So namespaces basically can be nested in two ways. Okay, let's complete this. So team B, and obviously we'll have the same issue again if I say class A, because that's an ambiguous name. So it's better to either use a fully qualified name or a namespace alias. So PATA equals that, PATB, project A team B is that. So if I want to use project A team A's class, then I can say class A dot print, and similarly project A team B dot class A dot print. So if we go ahead and run this, both team A and team B print method will be called, but some reason unable to copy. That's because I think we have this open. So let's close the disassembler. So team A print method and team B print method. So namespace alias directive. Sometimes you may encounter a very long namespace and wish to have it shorter, which could improve readability and still avoid name clashes with similarly named methods. We have seen this example of a namespace, and we have seen how to avoid ambiguity between namespace members if they share same names, either by using fully qualified name here in this case, or using namespace alias directives in this case. Now, until this moment, in a namespace, we have just seen that we can have classes, but apart from classes we can have interfaces, delegates, etc. as well. Okay, so a namespace can contain another namespace, a class, interface, structure, ename, delegates, etc. Okay, we'll be talking about classes, interface, structures, enums, and delegates in a later session. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.